Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing? Welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. It feels like it's been a while since we've been talking about Oxford United and doing a live match reaction, but what a way to get back into the rhythm, because Oxford United with another thriller, another fantastic comeback, whatever you want to call it, a fantastic and important, integral victory against Shrewsbury Town today. Another 3-2 win. 3 years in a row, Oxford United have come back and scored and won by 3-2. But this one feels so important. I mean, the last one was just as important last year against Shrewsbury. Got us into that top six. We didn't know how it was going to go in the end. Obviously, we missed out on the playoff in the playoff final. But today we come back, and it doesn't put us into the playoffs, but it makes us, it takes Oxford United into the final day. It takes this huge opportunity and gives us a huge opportunity, should I say, into the final day, and it could be massive. And the performance today, I thought, at times was very, very sloppy, very, very poor. But generally, when we're looking at the performance, when we're looking at the whole thing, it looks to be like an important, integral, and fantastic Oxford United win. Get your thoughts in the chat right now, because Oxford United, you can see the live league table on the screen right now. You can see it. We are 1 point away from the playoffs, going into the final day. Pompey did win today. We hope that wasn't the case. We hope Pompey could slip up or definitely didn't win, or at least they did win. But it hopes they couldn't take all the points that they did. They did take the points. However, to be honest with you now, it's just about how you get on and how your team, because you can't control what happens elsewhere. It's about what you do. It's about the performance that you put in. It's about the results that you get in. It's the business end of the season. We know what it's like. We know how important it is. And Oxford United did it again today. And fair play to Oxford. We can talk about the start of the season. We can talk about the inconsistencies this season. But at the end of the day, you have to just respect the fact that they are making this absolutely incredible. It's so entertaining. And what they're doing is absolutely incredible. And I'm proud and so happy to be sat here on a Saturday, back doing the match reaction live on the podcast. Subscribe and leave a like as always, and I'm so happy that we're back with a fantastic win and a really good end, a really good finish to the season. I mean, it's not the completely finished yet. There could be a massive, it's just a roller coaster of emotions. It really is. It's not the final, it's not the final game of the season, not the final day. Of course, that's next Sunday. That's when everything could be decided. But to finish today and finish the game with Dan Adji scoring late on, that 3-2, that third goal in what was, again, like I said, a really good game, end-to-end stuff, a roller coaster of emotions, really. And I'm so happy that we've been able to do that. I'm so happy that we've been able to continue this, what has been a roller coaster of a season. To be fair, it is just all about roller coasters. It's all about a journey. It's all about this incredible journey that we've been on as an Oxford United fan this season, Oxford United fans this season, and we've all sort of lived it together in a very different season. It's been different for everyone. The no fans, the whole COVID thing, everything's been changed. The way that we look at football, everything about it has been affected in some way. But this season, it's been up and down, but at the end of the day, this season, we're really, what it looks like to be, really taking it to the final day. And that's all we can ask, really, today. That's all we could have asked, because we can't ask Portsmouth to lose, because they're not going to do that. We can't affect that result. All we can do is win ourselves, get the job done ourselves, and then see where that takes us. And that's all we can do. We've got 6 minutes in here right now, and Matthew's already come in and said, big win. Shame results didn't go away with Pompey winning, but the dream lives on. And that's exactly what I mean. We can't control what Pompey did. We can't control what Charlton did. They only got a point today. They only got a point today, but with a win today, all it means really is we have to better Portsmouth's result next Sunday. If they draw, we win. If they lose, we get a point or win or whatever like that. But at the end of the day, we have to better their result. And I'd much rather be in that situation than obviously be mathematically out of it. At half-time, we were mathematically out of the contest. We were mathematically finished. We were done. We were out. The season would have been over. We would have come on here in much lower spirits, of course, with the season finished and dead and buried. But we're not. We're coming in here right now with hope, with a bit of desire. And what we showed resilience today. We showed great resilience. We showed resilience. We showed a want. And that's all you can ask. It's all you can ask. If we miss out against Burton, maybe we can beat Burton, but Pompey beat Accrington. But at the end of the day, all we can do is put ourselves in the shout, put ourselves in the mixer, put ourselves in the hat. That's all we can do. We can't ask for more, because at the end of the day, we can't go back on history. We can't go back on results that arguably we have missed out on, and we have unfortunately put ourselves in a situation where we could look back on results and say we could have changed it. We could do that. We very much could do that, but We can't put ourselves in that situation at all. We can't do that. What we can do though is look at what's coming forward, and look at the games we've got coming up. We've only got one. And we're talking about it 7 games ago. It was 7 cup finals. It was 7 huge games. It was 7 cup finals to decide whether or not this was possible, and it is still possible. And I dare I say it, it's actually very possible, because Accrington, they got a point against Charlton. That's all they need to do. They need to get a point against. This scenario today is exactly what we need. We need them to need Accrington to get a point against Portsmouth, and then we beat Burton. Whether that's 1-0 coming off someone's backside, or it's a 3-2 thriller against Burton and a 1-1 draw like they did against Charlton, like Accrington did against Charlton, but against Portsmouth next week. I don't care how it happens, but that's all we've got to do. We've got to better the result, and at the end of the day, that's a much better situation to be in. It's much better than relying on Portsmouth to lose against Accrington and then putting us in a situation where we have to win. It's a much better position to be in. Every single one of you, please do give your thoughts in the live chat right now. Leave a like on the stream and subscribe as well. Lots of content coming your way away from Oxford United, but today, at full time, after this fantastic win against Shrewsbury, Oxford United do win 3-2, and that's what we're talking about today. However, if you're looking at other League One content, don't go away now, but after this, if you're looking for some more content like this, check over the last episode of the podcast I did. I posted it yesterday, I think it was yesterday, looking at every single League One captain, rating their performances this season. A really interesting podcast episode that I really recommend you checking out. Really, really fun to make, and hopefully you enjoy it as well. So definitely go check that out. But today we're focusing on Oxford. We're focusing on how the game went, and we've got to be honest. I'm going to look at it from a point of view of, let's not get overexcited. Let's not get all giddy about it. To be fair, let's look at how it is. I could look at it at face value. Let's call a spade at the end of the day. That's all we can do. The game that started was a fantastic start. We got after 3 minutes. We got off with an absolute flyer. Elliot Lee, really unselfish play from Matty Taylor, fires it across to Elliot Lee with a pretty much open goal to finish at home. And that's exactly the start you want. That's exactly the way that you want to start a game. They talk about it. I'm sure the message was going to be at the start of the game. Karl Robinson was saying to those players, start strong, cause problems early on, get into the heads, get into the faces of these Shrewsbury players straight away. Get that early goal if you can. Really push, press straight away. Mark Sykes winning the ball in midfield, driving at the opposition. Lovely weighted pass into Matty Taylor. Like I said, a really good pass across goal to Elliot Lee. And that's exactly what you want to do. If you want to get yourselves in the best position to play a game of football, it's starting strong. It's getting an early goal, making the opposition have to react. You don't want to be forced to react, you want them to react, because then you can dictate the way the game's going. You go 1-0 up, you dictate the way that the game wants to go. If you go 1-0 up, you can then change how you want the game to play. Unfortunately, I didn't take the opportunity. We went 2-1 down very, very quickly. A poor set piece that we did not defend well at all, and then a really decent goal, you have to say. But it was a good finish. But again, the defending was very, very poor from Oxford United. I think they were sort of playing it for offside. It was never going to be given for offside. It might have been. I haven't looked at it back. I don't exactly know if he was onside, but we were sort of playing this sort of offside sort of thing. Elliot Moore, was the man that was trying to do it. It didn't work. It backfired miserably. The ball comes through. It goes sort of between Ruffles and Elliot Moore, straight through, and it's a good, calm, cool, composed finish. But at that point, and at half time, if it was 2-1 at half time, at that point it was mathematically over, and we'd started the game strong. We had the opportunity to dictate. We had the opportunity to really bring the game, give the game. Take the game. That's the word. Take the game to Shrewsbury, and we had the opportunity. We could have done that, but we didn't. We didn't do that. We blew that opportunity. We bottled the opportunity to do that, and that was a shame. That was disappointing. But at half time, the message probably was, I don't know whether or not Karl Robinson said at half time, Portsmouth are winning. At the stands, we are mathematically out of this playoff race. I don't know whether that was said. Personally, I probably would say that as a manager. I probably would say that because, if there's anything you can motivate your players with, it's saying that as it stands, you've got to do better, because as it stands, you're out of the race. And it wasn't just 2-1, it was 3-1 at this point. Portsmouth scored 2 goals just before half time. So Portsmouth were pretty much going to win that game. That was pretty much dead and buried. That game was pretty much finished against Wimbeldon. But that's definitely something I would do. I don't know whether Karl Robinson did that, because it started off and the game started like he hadn't said that. The game started very, very slow, very, very poor, very, very sloppy. There wasn't much football really we played in the first 10 minutes. It was just, a well game, it was a managed game from Shrewsbury. It was, short throws, a short time, definitely just everything, everything was just taken so long, everything was just time wasting pretty much from start to finish, which you could expect from Shrewsbury. We would do the same, but they were really managing the game. It was taking so long for them to take throws, all those different things, taking so long to get the ball. We talk about the the multi-ball system with the whole COVID thing. They were definitely taking that to their advantage, and you can't really blame them too much. To be fair, it's something you do when you're in a position where you want to hang on or you want to keep a win going. That's what you do. It's what you would do in those different scenarios in that situation. You have to respect that. But at the end of the day, it was massive. It was massive that we reacted, and it was so important that we did. And it took a while, but we did. James Henry scored the goal. Really good play from Elliot Lees. Lay it back to James Henry. A really good goal. He made it look so easy. We did. We made it look so easy, and that's the most interesting thing. Please do give your thoughts in the live chat right now. I'll be reading every single one of your person's thoughts out loud. We'll be discussing, and we'll be talking about on the podcast as per usual live at full time. That's what we do every single game. Not the last 2 games though, for a few issues, but generally though we're back in action. Of course, we're now back. Covering Oxford United live straight after the game, as we always do, or we always try to do on the podcast. But we needed a reaction, and James Henry offered that. A really, really good pass from Elliot Lee into James Henry, really good weighted ball into James Henry, and a really good finish. And like I said there, we made it look so easy. And that's another frustrating thing. We make these things look so easy. We make it so, and that's the frustrating thing. We know we can do it. We know that we can do such simple but effective things that cause so many problems for oppositions. They cannot defend an Elliot Lee pass back to James Henry with a cool, calm, collected finish. You can't defend that. You can't defend that, but unfortunately they did. You can't defend it, and they didn't that time. It proved it did. But there's so many opportunities where you can do that. There's so many opportunities where you can do that, and unfortunately, Oxford United don't do that enough, and that's why we do see that inconsistency, and we do see that times where Oxford United aren't as ruthless and aren't as clinical in front of goal. But it's so proven today that is a possibility. Matthew says, I think whatever happens this season, it's been classed as a good season considering the start we had. And I think you're spot on. I think we have got to look at the start of the season. We have got to look at the position where we are, and like Matthew just said there, you look at that start, it was an awful start to the season. We were talking about relegation, which is ridiculous, but we were talking about relegation. We're now in a position where we could be in the top 6, and I think it's not easy, and it's so difficult to think like that, because when you're in a position, all you think about is you, and you think about the situation that you're in right now. I'm trying to think of a good analogy that suggests it, but when something really bad happens, but you turn it around so dramatically, you're not going to be looking back at you're so focused on where you're going, you're so focused on the positives. You don't really want to fall back fall back into the times of the start of the season, the relegation. You can only focus on you now. You can only focus on what the start of the season has to offer. And that's all we can do as Oxford United fans, and the football club in general. The players have got to be in that same boat as well. But you've got to be in that situation where you're looking forward, and you're only looking at where you want to take this club and where you want to take yourself next. You can't look back. You can only look forward, and it's a common saying, and it's true. You can't look at the future. You can't dwell on the past. Sorry, you can only focus on the future. And I think that is a saying that works so well with Oxford United today. It's all about looking forward. It's all about looking where we go from here. And I know, and I'm so happy that we're in a position now where we are like that, and we are now, we are chasing still. We are 1 point behind Portsmouth, but we're in the shout. We're talkable. We're not silenced. We are available. And I think that's the most important thing is when we're looking at the future, we are still in a shout, and that desire and that the way that we approached the second half and the way that we came back with another fantastic result today was so important, and I know I was so impressed by it, and I'm so happy with the outcome. Paul Gross says next week is going to be very, very tense. I think you're spot on, Paul. I think it is. It's going to be extremely tense. It's going to be extremely tense. It's going to be extremely nerve-wracking, should I say, as well. It's a Sunday. It's 1 o'clock next Sunday, and I'm going to be able to score straight on after the game talking about it. It could be a very, very happy, exciting, upbeat podcast episode, but it could be a very, very sad, disappointing one. And we can't promise anything in that sense. We can't promise it in the sense that we're going to come on here sort of because it is going to come down to the final day. It is now coming down to the final day, and we have now got to look at where we go, and that's the most important thing now. Is we're not going to come back on here and go, well, at the end of the day, boys, it was we gave it our best shot. We're naturally going to be upset because we put ourselves in that situation. We're not going to come on here and go, we missed out on the playoffs, but it's okay because we had a bad start of the season. We're not thinking like that. If we lost today or we drew today, I'm not going to go, you know what, boys, we gave it our best shot. At the end of the day, we had such a bad start of the season. We have to look at it really as we're in a position now where we might as well just take the opportunity. We might as well just go for it. We might as well just give everything. We might as well, we'd rather lose 4-1 and then go 3-1, and that's the position we're in. When we were 2-1 down, you might as well lose 3-1 or go all guns blazing to go back to 2-2. That's all you can do. You just got to go for it. You've just got to go for it, and we did that, but we did it in a really good way, in a really, really good way as well. And one big thing I will say, and I probably should have said it before the 16th minute of the live stream, but Jack Stephens today at the end has kept us in the season. It has kept it. He's not just kept it in the game; he's kept us in the season, which I think is incredible, because I thought those 2 saves are world-class saves. Those saves, you saw them in the Premier League. They're going to be talking about. They're going to be played over and over again. Match the day. Sky Sport. They're going to be over that. Everyone's going to be talking about those 2 saves if that's in the Premier League. I don't know if it will be talked about as much as in League One, but those are world-class saves. Especially that first one. That first one is absolutely phenomenal. That the header looks destined for the roof of the net, and that save is absolutely incredible, and that deserves so much of a shout out, so much of applause, because those saves were incredible. And I think that's another thing as well. We look at the players individually as well. Jack Stephens as well. He didn't really do too much. He definitely wasn't to blame for the first 2 goals, but he was definitely in for a shout, from even a man of the match contender, because he's not just kept us in the game, like I said, he's kept us into the season. Tim G63 says Accrington will probably cave versus Pompey. They have nothing to play for, so disappointed it's out of our hands. We should have gone up last year. You spot on. You're definitely taking it in a different approach than some people, but I think you're definitely not wrong. You're definitely not wrong at all. I think you're right. I mean, we look at Accrington now. They got a very, very good point against Charlton today. They're not playing for anything. It doesn't mean anything to them. They're going to finish probably 11th, 10th sort of position, so it doesn't matter to them. But they are still a decent side. I mean, they beat us at home where a few weeks ago, and that looked like that was going to finish our season off. They drew 3-3 No, it wasn't them, was it? But they lost. They got a good point again today. So yeah, I mean, at the end against Charlton, which is an important one for us as well. Maybe. But then at the end of the day, you could say that about Accrington today. They could have caved today against Charlton, because they still didn't have anything to play for today. They weren't going to finish and be in the race for the top 6. So your point is right, but your point is also the same as, well, I mean, Accrington definitely could have caved today. But I completely understand your point, and we talk about last season as well. We should have gone up last season, yes. But again, that's, like I said there, we can't really be looking at last year. We have to be looking at this year. We have an opportunity this season. We have an opportunity to get ourselves in the top 6. We have an opportunity to get ourselves into the same position as we were last season when we lost to Wickham, but got past Portsmouth in the playoff semi-final, and then sort of fell at the final hurdle. But we're in that position. We're in that shout, like I said. And you are right, but we can't change the Wickham. We can only concentrate on today. We can only concentrate on next week against Sunday against Burton, which isn't going to be an easy game at all. But you're spot on. Bristol Rovers, brilliant result. But when will Robinson start Adji consistently? It's an interesting question. Paul, and definitely can't answer it in the shoes of Karl Robinson. Of course, Karl Robinson will be the best to ask that question. But I can obviously give my thoughts on why maybe he wouldn't. I think the obvious one is probably proven today, in the sense that he's a fantastic player to bring off the bench, and when we have seen him start, he hasn't been as effective. But when he comes off the bench, you see so many opportunities, like today, of course. When he comes on, he's energetic and he causes real problems to the opposition. Today, obviously, in particular, Shrewsbury, he was a very, very deadly player to have off the bench. On the commentary team, they're calling him Deadly Dan. I think they're spot on. He is deadly. He's a very, very difficult player to defend against. If you're a defender, it's very, very difficult to defend against Dan Adji. And he offers a different traits. He offers a different position to be in. And it's difficult, isn't it? Because when you're a defender, you've got a player with like I speak about all the time, the attributes that Dan Adji holds. He's a player with strength. He's a player with also pace as well. So it's really, really interesting because he offers so many different traits. He offers so many different attributes for a player, and he's a great player off the bench. But I think you're right in the sense that. In the sense that when he does start, you do ask sometimes why he doesn't start. But I think you've got a point. But I also think off the bench, he's proven it again today. He was absolutely fantastic, a phenomenal player to bring off the bench. But you're spot on. David Buckingham says, "Come on, you Yellows! What a result! 100%." And that's the feeling of all Oxford United fans right now. Tim G Tim G63 say, negativity aside, we played well. We played great football. We did play great football today. We didn't play great football for the whole 90 minutes. We definitely did play good football when we needed to. Every single goal we scored, we didn't really score a sloppy goal. Every single goal was well worked. Dan actually got a goal. The third goal was a really good position. He was at his back to goal, a lovely turn, deflected in the back of the net. But a really, really good performance. It was but at times, in spells, but at this point, it's the business end of the season, isn't it? It's the point of the season where it doesn't really matter. I don't really care how we play. I don't really care. I don't really care how we play, to be fair. I just care that we get the results. I don't care, like I said at the start, I don't care on next Sunday if we win when it comes off Burton's defender's backside, goes in, we win 1-0. They miss a penalty, we miss a penalty. I don't care how it goes, and against Accrington versus Pompey, it finishes 0-0. I don't care how the scenario. I don't care the scenario. At the end of the day, it's the business end of the season where results is priority. Results matter. And so I really hope that we continue the same way that we're going, and that's all we can do. That's all we can do. And I'm so happy that we are putting ourselves in a situation where that's possible. David Buckingham then says, "What are the chances of the playoffs now?" Well, the chances are on. The chances are there. We have got an opportunity to finish in the playoffs. We really, really do. We talk about all we have to do, if we're looking at it from a mathematical point of view, is better Portsmouth result, and obviously, we have got to look at Charlton, because they did drop points today, but they have got a game in hand. They are 68. They are on 68 points. However, they have got Hull on Tuesday night. If they beat Hull, then it doesn't really matter, because whatever happens, we have to win really against Burton. We can't really risk drawing that game. We do have to sort of win against Burton, and then sort of look at it from there. But yeah, at the situation that we are in right now, it is looking like we're gonna have to just better the result of Portsmouth again, who play Accrington next Friday. Matthew says, can Clare play on Sunday? I don't know for sure, but I'm going to go no. It's very, very rare that a player can play against their parent club, and I doubt, especially in the same league, I very much doubt that is going to be in Clare's loan contract. So I'm going to go not for sure, like 100%, but I'm going to go 95% no, he can't play on Sunday. And if you were a random question, and one that sounds stupid, but is definitely an interesting one, would Clare want to play? Because at the end of the day, he is on a 3-year contract at Oxford United. He'll be obviously on 2 years, obviously after this season, but he has got to come back to Oxford. Unless Burton or someone else buy him, he will be coming back to Oxford United next season. Would you want to play against and be part of a team that's the part of your team that stops your parent club from the opportunity of playing the Championship next season? I think that's an interesting question, and one that I'd probably say no, I wouldn't, unless I knew definitely that I was going to be bought by Bird or bought by another club. I probably wouldn't want to be part of that team. It'd be very, very awkward coming in next season, being part of the team that beat Oxford if you're Bird. I don't know the situation, but I'm going to go with no. I don't think he will play, and I don't think it would be allowed in that contract. But like I said, I don't know 100%, but I'm a pretty firm believer of going with no. I'm not going to lie. We're going to talk about man of the matches next. We'll talk man of the matches. I think that's a really interesting talking point. I love doing man of the match with you people, interacting in the live chat. If you were to give your man of the match today, if you didn't watch the game, continue to ask questions about the game. I know not everyone watches the games. Maybe you listen to it, maybe you just followed it on your phone or whatever like that. I don't really care. Just ask questions or whatever. Give your man of the match if you did watch the game. If you didn't, ask some questions, talk about it. It'd be interesting to see. I just want to hear your thoughts really and get more talking points in the live chat, and we can have a discussion about it. Matthew says Clare looks a real central midfielder to look at for next season for Oxford United. I think he is. I think you're spot on about that. He was brought in to play at right back. Sam Long's made that position his own this season. Sean Clare, to be fair, didn't really look very convincing at all at right back in the first few games that he was playing there, and he lost his position in the team for it. Long came in. Long's been fantastic this season, and he went on loan to Burton to play for playing football reasons, to getting regular football in a more comfortable position for him. He's a midfielder at Hearts. He came in to sort of see if he can do a job at right back. He couldn't. To be quite honest with you, I don't think we're going to see him play right back ever again, especially for Oxford United. I don't think that would go down very well, but Yeah, but at the end of the day, like you said there, he's a really looks like he's a really good player. Definitely not a right back, but he's a good player in that midfield, and I think he's a player that has a lot of potential for Oxford United. Not because he's extremely young, but because we haven't seen enough of him at all, and we haven't seen enough of him in the position that I want to see more of him. We did see him a little bit sort of going forward in that sort of, in that winger role. He looks to be very quick. He looks to have a lot of, a very powerful footballer, but he's a midfielder for me. He's a bit more of a holding midfielder. I think maybe that's something we could look at. I mean, we did extend, of course, Gorin and Sykes' contract. Sykes I thought was very good today, so I'm happy to see that. And obviously Gorin as well. He's a very helpful player to this side. He's a bit more of a defensive holding midfielder for Oxford. So maybe, we look at Clare, maybe sort of playing in that same position. Do we need another player to come in there? To be fair, I wouldn't mind seeing him. I would like to see Sean Clare come back in. We look at Hansen, probably the player after Brannigan and Gorin in that sort of defensive, deeper role in that midfield. Maybe you look at, but I wouldn't mind seeing Sean Clare. And he's a bit more of a box-to-box midfielder, maybe even going forward, maybe more of an attacking midfield. He's very versatile. He's a really good player to have. And if we can offer him a place in this Oxford United team, I wouldn't mind him being there. But does he get straight into your team? Is he in your starting lineup? For Sean Clare, he's proved he's a very good League One player. He's been fantastic with Burton this season. Does he want to just come back for Oxford United as a squad player on the bench, not getting those first team appearances, not getting that first team action that he deserves and we've seen he deserves this season? So it does come down to the player, obviously, as it does in these situations. But it's interesting. I'll be intrigued to see what he thinks, and hopefully Oxford United can sort of strike a deal with Clare that he comes back and maybe does offer something. But we get some money for him and he moved on with his career. I don't know. It is up to the club and up to the player, up to the player himself. But do give your man of the match is in the live chat. I want to hear your man of the matches. I'll give mine and give my reason why. I couldn't get the starting lineup on the screen live today because obviously for a good reason, for a fine reason, that obviously it is or most big social media, whether it's football clubs, it mainly is football clubs and sort of football media sort of websites and social media accounts have stopped posting due to obviously trying to tackle online abuse towards players and towards that, which is absolutely something that needs to be sorted out, something that needs to be addressed 100%. And I do match reactions. I talk about Oxford United players. I talk about players generally. I do podcast episodes where I talk about players. And I got a football podcast. That's what I love doing. It's what I create content surrounding. And obviously, when that happens, I'd never, it is an entertainment business. It is an entertainment business, and it is a business where we have the right as fans. We're not attacking them as people. We're not attacking them as individuals. If we are criticising their performances, we're going to criticise them in a constructive and fair way. I've never come on and said any of them are bad footballers, because none of them are. They're all better than all of us. They're all better than all of us. They're all better than me. They're all better than any single person that's not a professional footballer. They're League One professional footballers. They're incredible footballers. I know this is all across the leagues. They're all fantastic at what they do. So obviously when we talk about that, it is something that has to be tackled, and it's being rightly tackled and by these clubs sort of not doing any social media posts. It's proving a point. It's a step in the right direction, I think, for this sort of thing. And I'm pleased that something's being done about it, but it is something that has to be addressed. And like I said as well, and when I do this sort of thing, it is about tackling and it is about criticising. If we are criticising these players, we're not abusing them. We're criticising them in a constructive way, and that's exactly why we do this. Because I love talking about football. I love being part of this fantastic industry that we're part of and that we're all fans of. Anyway, moving on. Matthew says Jack Stevens is man of the match. Paul Gross is Stevens just for those saves at the end. And I think you have to have I think you've got a great point there about Jack Stevens. He's not just kept us in the game, like I said, he's kept us in the season. Some fantastic saves, some crucial saves at a crucial part of the game. We're 3-2 up and they were really piling on the pressure, as you can expect. We sat a little bit deeper, as you naturally do. You try not to, but you naturally do. Every single one of you as well, please do leave a like on this episode of the podcast as well. Let's try and hit 8-9 likes. Can we hit 8 or 9 likes? There's going to be people right now that are watching this. It's free, it's easy. All you got to do is just like the little thumbs up button, hit that thumbs up button, and it will go up. You count your a part of it. And also, if you haven't subscribed, again, that's another thing as well that's completely free. It helps me out. Just hit that subscribe button. It's red, it's subscribe, and then hit that notification bell as well, because that means you never miss an episode of the podcast. You'll get notified 30 minutes before we go live. You'll get notified when we go live, and when I do the podcast episodes like the last one, looking at every single League One captain this season, you get notified when that podcast episode goes out as well, so you can click on it straight away, watch it as soon as possible, and that's what I love to do. So every single one of you, please do leave a like and subscribe as well, and that's what I love, and that's what I'd love for you to do. But continue, please do give in your man of the matches. We've had a few people coming in, we've had another like going up there, people are listening, people are playing part of it. I really do appreciate it, thank you all so much. But continue leaving your likes and subscribing as well. It's free, it's easy, and it helps me out big time. A lot of people have said Jack Stevens. I'm going to go with Jack Stevens as well, to be fair. I think there's a lot of good performances today, but I think Jack Stevens has kept us in the game and the season. So for that reason, I think you have to give it the young English goalkeeper for Oxford United this afternoon. I thought he was very, very good. We look at the other positions as well. We look at Josh Ruffles. I wouldn't say it's his best ever game, but it was a very, very good game generally, I thought. I thought the centre-back partnership of Moore and Atkinson, we've spoken about, have been very, very good this season as well. Atkinson, of course, now being named in the team of the season for League One, which is very, very exciting for him. Congratulations to him. Really good achievement, really good achievement for the young lad. It wasn't even playing for Oxford United this time last season. Wasn't even part of wasn't part of the Oxford United first team really at all. He's now a crucial part to this Oxford United team, and now in the team of the season for League One, which is absolutely fantastic. And good on him. Fair play to him. He's a great player, and he's done some great stuff for Oxford United this season. I'm buzzing to have him part of Oxford United. I think he's a great player, and today I thought he had a really decent game as well. I think his passing ability, I think, is something that has to be spoken about. The way that he passes out from the back, so calm, so composed. He's also a very, very quick player as well, and a quick centre-back is also very, very important. It's not just important in a video game, it's not just important in FIFA. Having a centre-back that's quick is so important. It's also very rare. Well, not completely rare, but it is, you don't normally sort of see that as much. But having a quick centre-back is sometimes, often, and a lot of the time, I'd say, really, really important. You look about the quick wingers, the quick players, the quick forwards you've got in this division. To have a quick centre-back as well, it's also very, very good, of course, at defending, and also has got a really, really good passing range, which Accrington has all of those. It is fantastic, and it's great to see we've got a player there. We're going to sort of look at him as a player with Moore. I think Moore had a great game. I would say he was at fault for the second goal. He was sort of trying to play the offside trap sort of thing, or either that, or he was having his, he does tend to stick his hand up asking for offside, where maybe you could ask him to sort of maybe just play through the opportunity. He looked a little bit wobbly at times, but generally, he's been solid this season. Great captain for Oxford United this season. I was very, very impressed with Elliot Moore, as I have been all season, to be fair. Sam Long, the same as well. I thought Sam Long was really, really good. He gets better game by game, Sam Long. He's one of those players, you sort of just, you think he can't get much better, and then he just continues to continue. Probably wouldn't suit your content, but would love to see an Oxford United career mode on FIFA. I mean, that would be a good laugh, to be fair. That would be a good laugh. I don't know if it definitely probably wouldn't fit the content. But it would be a good laugh to see how would I manage Oxford United. To be fair, that was, it is funny, and it definitely wouldn't suit the content, but it would be a good laugh, I'm sure. But we look at the starting 11. If we talk about how I do it, I think we set up with the strongest 11. I think we did set up the strongest 11. Barker was back from injury as well. I thought he wasn't as effective as I thought. And also, while you're on that, talking about suiting the content, if you've got any ideas for podcast episodes, if you've got any ideas, I've got quite a few ideas planned, but I want to hear from you, because I want to sort of produce content that I've got some. I think to myself as a sort of I do like to think that I do create some like creative different ideas in the podcast. I have got a few of them lined up, but I want to hear from you as well, because I want to hear what you'd maybe want to see in the podcast. Literally anything that's they're talking about football, debating about football, anything surrounding the football. We are now coming to the end of the season, which is going to be very, very exciting. We're going to be doing sort of our team of the season. We're going to be doing our end of season awards. We're going to be doing all these different things that I'm so excited about. But please do give your thoughts if you've got any more interesting ones. I'll be so happy to hear that, and I'll also be leaving that on the Instagram page as well, at the Young Fan Podcast. On there, I'll be leaving sort of like a what's it called when you sort of ask people to sort of type their thoughts in. I'll be listening to all of those. Interested to see what you people think. But yeah, I'll be love to see if you've got any ideas. I'll be writing them down, and I'll be trying to make them a reality if they're decent, which I'm sure they will be, because I've got some very creative people, I'm sure. But going back to what I was talking about, Barker's back from injury. Really happy with that. Wasn't as effective as maybe as he could have been, but generally I thought Brandon Barker was good. Brandon Barker's one of those players. He's a moments player. He's a player that sort of performs in moments. He performs in different spots of the game. Sometimes he's incredible. Sometimes he sort of drifts out of games and fades out of a football match, which you could expect from a player like that. He's a moments player, like I said. Especially left wingers tend to be moments players, and Brandon Barker was that today, I thought. But generally he's a good player, and he's going to be sort of working his way back into it. You've been injured for what, 4 games or so, 3-4 games. You're coming straight back into the starting lineup. Robinson knows he has to do that because he knows how good of a player Brandon Barker is. But again, when you do that, there is swings and roundabouts to that. You're putting him back in because you want to see his effective play come out. But he's also going to he's going to wear out. He's not going to be full fitness. He's not going to be complete with that match sharpness, to be fair to him. But it wasn't his best game, but it certainly wasn't his worst. I don't think there was any awful performance, to be fair, today at all. I thought Brannigan, at times maybe he does sort of tend to, he loves to win. And it was a really good point that she said about the commentary, and sometimes the commentators. And sometimes the commentators, all the time, let's be fair, the commentators, at Oxford United, we're lucky to have some fantastic commentators on BBC Radio Oxford, that are fantastic people, fantastic at what they do, as most commentators are, at Oxford United and generally at all football level. But they do come with some great points in the sense that. It was one of them, which was Brannigan is a player that loves to win, and he loves to win so much that sometimes he can maybe make some rash decisions and maybe isn't as effective. We know that he can be, and sometimes I think that's that you can sort of see that maybe he tries into sort of like a long, maybe a bit more of a too direct of a ball, which sometimes can be a little bit frustrating. But generally he's a player that's very, very effective, very, very good. But you do see sometimes at times he does go a little bit too direct, tries the long balls. Maybe he could have been a little bit shorter, try a little bit more simple pass. But you can't blame him too much. He's a very, very good player. Cameron Brannigan, and a player that is drawing interest from lots of Championship and even some low-end Premier League clubs as well. That's another thing we've got to talk about. Obviously, we will be talking about the summer. We won't talk about it in this episode of the podcast, but I think that's definitely one that we'll be talking about the summer for Oxford, because I think it could be a really interesting transfer window. Because if players that we're seeing now are performing as good as they are, I think it's going to be so difficult to hold on some of these players if we don't go up through the playoff system this season, or this campaign, whatever you want to call it. Who else we've got to talk about? Mark Sykes, we've sort of briefly mentioned. I thought Mark Sykes was very, very good today. I thought, the way that he won that ball back for that first goal in the 3rd minute of the game, he showed his quality, he showed his pace, he showed his dribbling, he showed his composure with that pass to Taylor. I thought it was very, very good. I thought it was a really good performance from Mark Sykes. He is making that position is his own. He is really, really doing a great job, and I'm glad to see Mark Sykes back in action. Every single one of you, please do leave a like on this episode of the podcast. It's free. Go on there, hit that like button. I want to see that like counter going up. We're on 9 likes right now. Can we hit 10? Come on, can we hit 10? I know we can. Can we hit 10 likes on the stream right now? I've just seen we've hit a subscriber as well. If you've just recently subscribed, thank you so much. If you're the subscriber that just subscribed, thank you. I really, really do appreciate it. We're now on 225 subscribers. We did have a little time off. I literally had probably about a week and a half off. I think the last uploaded last Tuesday. Not last time. That was before yesterday's podcast that went up. But before that, it was last Tuesday. I couldn't actually speak for about a week and a half. About a week, I couldn't really speak. I had an operation with me in my mouth with my teeth, which wasn't very comfortable, and I couldn't speak. And obviously, a podcast is quite crucial with speech. If you can't really speak, a podcast isn't quite the same. So it was quite difficult. But we did get back to recording one yesterday. Thursday. It came out yesterday, talking about League One captains. But we are now back. We're back in action. We're back talking about football. Back talking about Oxford United, and I love it. I love coming back and and doing this sort of content. It's great fun as always. If any of you got any more thoughts, any last thoughts of the game, please do get in the live chat. Any last sort of discussion you want to talk about. I haven't really got a time limit, but obviously when it naturally ends, we won't drag it for no reason. If we feel like it's sort of coming to a natural end, we'll close it up. But I think we talk about everything really. We've spoken quite a lot about Oxford United's performance this season. It was good in spells. It wasn't brilliant, but it's a results business. It's a thriller. It's 3-2. We're scoring goals as well, which is great. And I don't really care how we win. As long as we do it, and I'm glad that we are still in for a show, and it is now coming down to the final day, and it is going to be a really interesting final day. Please do give your final thoughts in the chat. We'll put a sort of a 3-minute timer. I know there's a bit of a delay for the chat and for me, and obviously you've got to type it or whatever, so 3 minutes. We'll try and stop it at sort of between 43, 45 minutes. Please do give your thoughts. If you just joined us, please do give your thoughts or just give your last thoughts on this game in the live chat. I want to hear from you, and also please do leave a like and subscribe if you're new. It's free, it's easy. Just subscribe, just leave a like. Lots of content, not just Oxford, League One content as well, and check out the last episode of the podcast looking at League One captains. If you're new, check it out. It's a great podcast episode. I really recommend it, not because that's for you to decide, but I really enjoyed making it, and hopefully you enjoy it, so definitely do check that one out and leave a like on that one. But if you've got any last thoughts you want to do on this one and this live podcast episode, get it in the chat right now, because I want to discuss it if you've got any different points. Other than that, it is going to come down to the final day, boys and girls. It's going to come down to the final day. It's going to come down to that final day, that Sunday, next Sunday, a week tomorrow, 1 o'clock, Oxford United will be playing against Burton, which isn't going to be an easy game. It isn't going to be a breeze. It's not going to be a breeze. It's going to be a difficult game, and I don't think we should look at it as we just got to win our game. We've got to win that game first. To be fair, we have got to better the result. We could get away with a win. We could get away with a draw if obviously Portsmouth. If Portsmouth lost their game, but we can't look at it like that. We've just got to go for the win. We've got to go for the win, and then hope Portsmouth don't win. That's all we can do. But there is hope. There is we've got over half a chance, I'd say, of a possibility, and hopefully we can do it. But it's been great fun today, and again, the last few podcast episodes that we've done, have been interesting, and the last few games for Oxford United have been great. I mean, Plymouth, we didn't do one, but Plymouth was a great game. I did watch it. Wimbledon wasn't great, obviously, but then the one before that against Gillingham was a really good result. And I'm excited to see where we go from here. I'm excited to see where Oxford United go. It is only one game left. It is all coming down to the final day of the season. I'm very, very excited for it, and hopefully you are as well. But no, I've really enjoyed today's episode of the podcast. Good to be back. Good to be talking about Oxford United in this match reaction. I've been Jack. This has been the Unfan Podcast. Thank you everyone that's interacted in the live chat. Everyone that's been part of it, whether you've watched it, spoken in the chat, whatever, leave a like. You can still leave a like as well, whether you're watching this live or obviously it'll go up as a video, go as a normal episode of the podcast as they always do. I've been Jack. This has been the Unfan Podcast. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'll see you in a bit. See you later.